Good morning, everyone. Welcome in my living room, pretty much. And welcome to another edition of Vertical Slice, devcom's indie show we are hosting bi-weekly on Twitch, and this is the second edition. Vertical Slice, we have fabulous guests. We have a good subject to talk about today, because maybe you remember, you guys, that we have been talking about Kickstarter last time, and André and I thought that money is, always tight for indies, and there is not only Kickstarter like indie studios could get money from, but also like other resources. And we thought, let's talk about the other resources then. So today we are gonna have like a fab show, 2 hours with two nice guests, all about funding. Yeah, let's talk about funding. And since I mentioned André now like 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, I would suggest to just get him into the chat and into the stream. So let's see if I'm able to press the right buttons. This is like the real test.
Awesome.
Hello.
And good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Astrid, you pushed the right button. Good to see.
I pushed the right button, and you know what? I also remembered to activate your microphone, because remember last time I pretty much failed on that one, and you were talking and talking, no one could actually hear you.
Yeah, I'm happy that the chat recognized that this time I'm also able to speak. Being visible and being able to speak is a great prerequisite for this show, and this check mark is already done, so I'm happy about this. And I'm happy to be here again with you, Astrid, and also with the great guest that we have today, because you mentioned it quite good, that money is always tight, and therefore it's important to see, okay, which opportunities are there to get some more money to make your dream game come true somehow.
Right. Yeah, right. Money. It's all about money, right? And it's like, once a very old lady told me, like, if there is no money, there is simply no honey. So, to make it short, no money, no honey. But before we dive deep into the subject, let's say hello to the chat. And you know what? I just see that the interface for the chat is a bit off, and I can try to fix it by myself, which will be fun. I'm gonna try that. And André could actually, you know what, André, you can say hello to the chat, and I will check if I can fix that.
Hello, chat. Yeah, we didn't recognize this before, that the chat is broken again. But you people are here, you can see us, hear us, and you can text, so that is good. And Astrid is going just to fix this little issue. And also, I just wanted to know, she's not.
I will try. Okay. I will give my very best.
I would say, it's not all about money. Don't get me wrong on this. Actually, money is more like the vehicle that you need to fulfill your dreams somehow. In the end, I mean, it would be a nice side effect to earn some money with your game as well. But in the beginning, to be able to do this, you need some money. And you need a great vision, and you need a great team. And when it all comes together, then you'll hopefully be successful, or at least you have released a great game. Or maybe not so great game. But today I'm quite confident that we are talking to two people who are on the right way to do so.
I think I actually fixed it, André.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep, look what I've done.
Magic, yes.
Magic. It's magic hands. But you know what? I must admit that I didn't listen 1 second to you and what you have said. I think I passed out, as you said. It's not all about money. André is right. It's not all about money, because
feeling more often that people are not listening to what I'm actually saying. But yeah, okay, I can live with that. Money is just the vehicle to build your dreams.
Yep. I remember we once had a guest in the Game Dev show. I think it was Don Daglow. And I mean, Don Daglow is like a name, right? He's like a person you should know when you work or be around. Yeah, pretty much when you're in the gaming industry. And I think he said it is pretty much about how often you can fail before you're actually able to succeed. And I think he's right on that.
There's always this story when talking about failure by mentioning Rovio and Angry Birds, because I guess everyone heard it several times, but if you think about the success and Rovio, it's not like that Angry Birds was their first title or their second title or their third title. Actually, it was title number 52, and the last thing the last try they had before closing down the company, and then it worked out quite well. But yeah, I mean, fail early and often until you're able to succeed in the end. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be happy for everyone to be successful at the first time already. That would be even better. But in the end, the path to success is more like a long winding road and not a very short path or shortcut to success.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know what I should add on that point, because that, that sounded like a very complete sentence. Don't know what to add there. So I don't know if you actually did, because as I said, as I tried to fix the chat thingy, I pretty much like passed out. Hello, Vegapink. So glad to see you around.
Yeah.
So glad that you are proud of me that I fixed the chat by myself. You have been the best teacher. Juliana. Hello, Dana. Dana is my always all-time favorite. What should I say? Dominic, I just wrote that you actually set like an appointment in your calendar that you don't miss today's Vertical Slice show. That is so cool. Thank you. Who have we there? Chief Master. Hey, good morning, or good. Yeah, we can still say good morning, right? We can do that. Sure.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone else, if I forgot someone. And you know what? Now, let's say hello. Actually, it's a good time to say hello to our first guest. Do you agree?
Well, yes,
I
definitely.
didn't.
I
didn't.
To work my magic while you push the right button.
I didn't push the button yet.
Oh, okay.
So here is the magic finger. So it's 3, 2, 1. Ba 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 bam. Hello, Wolfgang. So good to see you again. So I must say, we did like, tech tasting this morning. So we have kind of been like watching and talking and like seeing each other for, let's say, 30 minutes. We already sang together. Wolfgang and I actually had like a little singing moment together. We showed each other's pets, because maybe you can see that like my aloof loof Susie Kitty is there, and Wolfgang actually showed me his
guinea pigs.
Guinea pigs. Thank you so much. Guinea pigs.
They are there and sleeping, so I want to catch them.
That is fine. I mean, you know what? Today's show is not about pets. Even I would love to do. Yeah, I would love to do actually like a special, like 3 hours about pets, especially cats only. That would be so nice. But couldn't convince the others yet. But yeah, I mean, today we talk about other stuff. And you know what? I think it would be nice if you could actually start off with introducing yourself and, telling the others that are watching today's show who you are. Who are you, Wolfgang?
Okay, I can try. Okay, my name is Wolfgang. I'm from Germany and the CEO of Real Human Games. It's an indie game design company here in Leipzig. Right now we're here because we got a Förderung, a funding, I guess. Yeah. And or making our second bigger game with this funding. Yeah, that's pretty much why I'm here. And
what's the name of the game that you're doing?
Oh yeah, sorry. The game is 50 Ways to Kill an Alien. And in the game, you play as a alien on an alien cruiser, and you're given some tasks that don't sound very complicated, but if you're in the level, you don't quite actually know at first how to solve these easy tasks, and you are forced to make some puzzles and use some puzzle mechanics to achieve these easy tasks, but it's not that uncomplicated. So some of your alien fellows are getting smashed or die other death while you perform this task. And it's comic-like style, so the violence is not that brutal, but it's more on the fun part.
Yeah, great to hear. I mean, actually, we Astrid and myself, we took a look at every project that is listed on the BMVI page, which is the Ministry of Streets and Infrastructure, something like that in English, I would say, where all the projects that receive funding so far are listed.
Yep.
And yeah, actually, I was quite interested because the name of your title and the little description. So we reached out and thought could be a good idea to talk with you about the game and also learn a bit more about the gaming scene in Leipzig at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, you know, there have been so many titles. Let's be honest. There have been so many titles and it took some time to get through. And you know, I think a catchy title of a game can be like a selling point actually. So as you can see, obviously Andre and I like immediately like got fixed because 50 Ways to Kill an Alien sounded so fun and the description sounded so nice. And yeah. Sorry for interrupting. I just needed to get that out. So sorry, André. I'm sorry I interrupted you because you had like real questions actually.
Maybe we can take a look at the team page and you tell us
Yes.
how many people are there working on this game. I mean, regarding the budget, it's no secret because that is also available on the BMVI page. What you received so far. So the project sum is, correct me, Wolfgang, is 130,000 euros, right?
About, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a very small team, right? You have 1, 2, 3, 4 people? 4 people, including you.
It's not that big a team, but we're doing what we can. We found each other while our study is in Leipzig. We all studied game design here at the Macromedia University.
Oh, okay. That would have been my next question. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'm the level and game designer together with our programmer Alexei. He's the picture under me. I'm the one with the yellow hat. Joe or Joanna is under Alexei, and is mostly doing 2D art and animation. And Maria at the bottom is our 3D artist.
How long have you been working together or doing that together for now? Because I saw that you already have been working on, a lot of projects actually.
Our company exists about 1.5 years right now. And during our university times, we found each other over the years. So about 3 years, we worked more or less in a team. And here are some projects from our university time, like Castle Intruders. It's a VR game. Our programmer and I made together as my bachelor thesis. Great project. We don't have an artist involved, so the graphics are programmer graphics and blockout like. Other projects like Going Up, we made together in our university time as well, together with a company based in Leipzig, also the Drehfabrik. And there is a bit more graphic. There was another 3D artist with us.
Which one? Sorry.
The Going Up.
Going Up.
You have to go down to get Going Up. Yeah, it's the one above Castle Intruders.
Thank you. Going Up. Oh, now I got it. Yep. That was another fabulous moment of me being like a little squirrel. Sorry.
No problem. Yeah, we actually did nominated for that one. And yeah, it was a great nomination. We didn't win, but we only were 4 people. The winners were some people with teams of 30 people and budget of more than 100,000. So
the odds were against it. Excuse me, I didn't get that. You were nominated for what? Which prize?
For a prize from the German Institute for Virtual Reality.
Ah, okay.
It was also written here, right?
Yeah, I think.
I saw something before about an awarded thingy going up.
That's
Here, DIVR. Get it? DIEY
Deutsches
award.
Institut für Virtual Reality.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You know what? Yeah. I would like to have maybe a look into the project that get funded.
Yeah, that would be great.
That would be nice too, right? So let me quickly open that stuff. I already checked it before, of course, and I can tell you that aliens are so cute. I can even imagine that this game could be brutal or something like that because they're so cute.
That was our goal, so we don't want this gore feature too much and make it more a cute thing. Like Harvey's New Eyes, if you know the game. It's cute, but also a bit of violence is in there. Yeah, this is the models of our alien fella.
That looks so froggy.
What is the age rating that you applied for? I mean, you have to mention it to the BMVI what you are targeting at, so we can judge the level of gore to expect within your game.
We're aiming at the age of 12.
Okay.
So it's more like a comic.
Comical violence.
Yeah. Like Tom and Jerry, there's violence, but it's not that bad, I would say. Yeah, a bit of concept art.
Yeah, but now you got an artist involved, I would say.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, now you got an artist involved for doing this game, right?
Yeah, that was Yo. And the 3D models were Maria. So now we have artists other than the Castle Intruders project.
Okay, cool.
I mean, look at that cool dude. He's so relaxed and chilled. Can't even see how the game can be brutal. Can you tell us a bit more about the game, actually? How it is going to be and, yeah, the gameplay and stuff like that. I mean, right now, you're in a very early state of the game project, right?
That's true. So we play this little alien with a camera from the top, and you are sitting in the cafeteria, and you have to eat this ugly glob. It's not tasting that good. And you want the good glob, the golden glob, but right now there is none. But there's a competition between 3 teams, and the team that achieves the most will get the golden globe at the end. So you have to decide which team you will be joining, and then you have to fulfill some of these tasks I mentioned before for that team and push the team ratings above the others. Yes?
No, sorry, you go first.
To do so, you have to fulfill all these tasks. If you enter an area, you can try to solve these riddles that are there. There are as always one riddle you have to solve to get in the next area, and some smaller riddles you can solve to make your rating go higher and you get a better ending. Yeah, this is a picture from our bureau. The bureaus are kind of weird. They are in a gondol from a giant wheel. I don't know the English word for that.
Something, I guess.
Yeah, and
you need one of those globe cups then to replace mine.
It will come as merchandise, I hope, but I'm not sure now. Um, yeah, the first riddle I can spoil a little bit.
Oh, wait, has that been a riddle here? No.
No,
No.
there's not a riddle, but it is a part of a riddle. You need to use these gondolas to align them and make your first big kill, which opens a gate to the next area.
Ah. I should note down that actually, because I'm pretty much going to forget this until I'm going to play that by myself.
So in the end, it's all 3D, I guess.
Yes, it's all 3D. It's a Metroidvania-like game, so you can achieve that you get other costumes with other skills. I think there are 2 pictures inside of costumes we have. And these costumes all give you different abilities. And if you have these abilities, you can get back to the previous levels and make...
get the additional riddle solved then.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How did you came up with the inspiration on that? I mean, were you all great Metroidvania fans, or how did you came up with the idea?
We had someone met at the DI4R who wanted to work with us together and had this idea of 50 ways to kill an alien, but he had no team, or his own game development team had too much other tasks. So he asked us if we would be interested.
Okay.
He would help us on the business side with the project, and we have the full creative power. And so we said, nice, for a first project, would be nice to have a mentor like that.
Yeah.
And so we took the creative part and made the title to our game, and made a big brainstorm with the team for a week. What do we like, what we don't like, and this was the idea that came out finally.
No, you go first.
And when did you get involved with the Bundesförderung, or when did you have the idea to get the funding via Bundesförderung?
That was his idea actually too. He helped me in the beginning to write the application. We sent it in about an hour before it was closed. So we made it in, but needed some rework. And we got the funding about a year later, and several reworks of the application.
How long did it take you and your team to actually prepare all the stuff that you have to hand in for such a funding? I mean, how long in total? How much work did you had to put into to make that happen?
Too much, way too much.
Oh, tell me more.
As I said, it was about a year we were in the application phase and tried to make it happen. And it's kind of ridiculous what detailed information they wanted from us. They are not used to work with game developers and more other projects that can be better planned than the interval kind of work that needs in a game. So they wanted to know what kind of sound we need in our games and best give us a list of all sounds, but we were not allowed to start the project or plan the project or do the game design, so we can't know what kind of sounds we would need.
That is actually a thingy that, you know what, depends on everything that is funded. It doesn't matter where the funding comes from, but you are not allowed to work officially on the project before like you receive the confirmation, which can make it very hard, as you say, if you need to hand in stuff that you can only do when you actually work on the project.
Yes.
How did you figure it out? How did you solve such? I mean, did you just call them and try to explain them that this is not possible at that point, or how do I need to? How should I imagine myself that process then?
We tried to talk to them, and I think all the other developers tried to talk to them too, and they got the criticism. And I think they are reworking it, but right now they couldn't do anything, so we had to get going with what we had, and we're just guessing and said we need about 20 sounds for the alien creature. Um, and if it's not exactly that, it's okay, but it should be about that amount.
Do you think they're going through your game later on and check how many sounds you actually use for the alien creatures?
I don't
Like
think
no,
they
tick,
would ever
tick.
do that.
Okay.
I
17,
think they.
18, 19.
What about hidden sounds and secrets?
Yeah.
They may not find
Ooh.
everything.
Alien Flavor Sound 3 is missing.
How dare they?
Yeah.
If we're ready, we will send them the project so they can play it as they like. I don't know if they're that into games. Maybe some of them, but I think this is more for the archives from them. What they
Yep.
can store it.
That's actually one of the crazy problems with the Bundesförderung somehow is that the concept of agile development, well, I guess everyone is doing some use a Scrum or Scrum-like methods or doing agile development process. This is not something that they are used to. Yeah? They are used to within the project that they did prior. I don't know on all the other things that they are funding regarding the waterfall model. Yeah, you do one
Yes.
thing, then you do the next thing, and that's what they expect. What you have to deliver to them, like the plan. First, we do this, and then we do that, and then we do this, and then the game is finished. While nowadays, I mean, it's hard to say when you do agile development how long and what everyone is doing in detail at day number 25 of the or 23 of the project or something like that. That's really crazy. And I heard this quite often for people that they have this challenge like, okay, we are doing agile development, but they want a waterfall plan. How to merge this to be successful somehow.
Yeah, that's absolutely a problem. In a movie, you can say, okay, we need this scene, and the scene is going to be this scene. But in a game, even if you plan a mechanic, you can plan as a waterfall.
Yeah.
But then in the game development, you see, oh no, that mechanic doesn't work like we planned, or it doesn't feel as good, and we have another better idea. So you have to scrap your whole plan and make a new one.
Yeah.
And that's happened quite
Sounds
often
feasible.
in every
Sounds
game
completely
development, I think.
feasible.
That's why in this business, I think no game development company uses the waterfall system.
I mean, maybe if you do the next FIFA, yeah, you know how all the FIFAs went before, and then you know, okay, we need 3 more teams and another stadium and another thing, maybe one feature more, and then it's done. Then it's easy to plan that. But with a completely new project, it's just like, I mean, and the creative process that is involved. This is, I mean, we are not doing just something like building a machine or anything. Well, just there's also art involved, and that is definitely something that is hard to plan on a waterfall model. So I totally agree with you on that.
Absolutely. On our project, we have 5 areas, and we have each area defined. There's a nature plane, there's a haven, and a sewer, and things like that. But we don't define them until we are in the sprint before. So what the riddles exactly are, we have an idea. There you have to grow plants or mushrooms. There you have a killer robot. But the exact riddle we only plan in the sprint before that.
How did you, I mean, you mentioned before that the process, like, I mean, getting the okay from the BMVE, whatever, took about 1 year or something. I mean, in the
Yeah.
beginning, when you did the application, you had to say, okay, we want to start on January 2022. And in the end, you got the okay, like, when did you get the okay to be able to start with the project? Roughly.
We got we made the application first in August 19, I think.
Yeah.
And we're planning with starting at October 19.
Okay. And when did you actually start then?
November 2020.
Which is just like, okay, so
what have you done in the meantime? Because
Yeah.
I mean, life doesn't work like, okay, I'm just sitting at home on my couch and do nothing. Or did you just start to work on other projects in the meantime? I mean, what have you done in the meantime? Did you play? What?
That's the life of game designer. So we couldn't make our project, so we played Witcher the whole time. No. Of course, we made other projects. Our big project there was Mall Crusher 3, the first of its row. This is a game where you are in a cart of a supermarket, have a racing game. Yeah, that one. Have a racing game in a supermarket against another team. It was started out as a small project just for fun, and we thought, oh my god, that's so fun, we need to make it bigger. Showed it people, and they all loved it. So we developed it further and reached out with another company to bring it into a mall. And
that's the picture here, right? The picture in the
Yes,
upper corner. I am completely failing by zooming in properly. Sorry for all the viewers in the chat. I'm giving my best.
No problem. Last October, we had our first trial with a big and real audience in Erfurt in the Touring Park. So people could come and play the game live against each other. There's a picture of me and someone playing the game.
Yeah.
I was tempted to say like, oh, look, your hair grows so long. But I mean, obviously you're that person here.
Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, that fun would have been on my side.
Did you get funding for this project? Did you do it on your own funds, or how did this work out?
I mean, you were waiting for funding as you did that project, right? I don't think that you had. No, you know what? Just answer the question. It's not about what I think.
Okay.
But
we did it on our own fundings. We had with the founding of our company, a bit of money so we can work in a bureau, and had our little office where we created this game. We didn't get paid for the project until we got the funding of the other game.
Yeah.
And we all lived from basically nothing. The 3 Fs: friends, fools, and family.
Okay.
Or some people had a side job to get a bit of money and make the game. Yeah.
So it's the classical indie way.
The classical indie way.
Bootstrapping.
And the other project shown here on your homepage, You Can't Pause a Space Shooter. That is another project you have done in the meantime whilst waiting for your funding?
There was a... I forgot the name. We developed this with a kind of event where you develop games in 2 days.
Game Jam?
Game Jam, that's it.
Ta-da-da-da.
I always forget the word. Yeah, our Mall Crusher. This also was a game jam, and we made it from Game Maker's Toolkit. This game jam. I don't know if you know the YouTuber. I think it was the biggest game jam ever made. Yeah, and that was our part in our submission. Yeah, you in this game you have to play a space shooter on your PC, but there are also coming some interruptions that make this space shooter way harder than it actually is. It's free to play. You can go on the website and download if you want.
Yeah, I see it. It's on itch.io, right?
Yes, it is.
Because this looks like fun. As the game is, there is a PC in your PC where you play the game on. That is the challenge, so far as I understood.
Because André, this is the most accurate simulation of playing a retro-like shooter. Okay. I also like that sub description here. Like, however, the world is a place full of distractions. It's like, yeah, you're so right. Hacker, earthquakes. I mean, yeah. itch.io.
I will. The moment where Susie takes over the screen, your cat, the cat disturbing us. Yeah, talking about distractions.
There is actually a cat in the game.
Nice. I love games where cats are involved. I mean, it's so easy to please me. Give me cats, give me froggies, give me aliens. Here I am. You know what? The only thing you shouldn't give to me is like monkeys. I don't like monkeys. So when you plan to do like a game that involves like monkeys, go for it. But don't tell me, yeah, monkey. No, I wouldn't play that. I'm not. Don't like monkeys. It's my personal childhood trauma.
Oh, no.
I'm still fully living in my adulthood.
Yeah, luckily the time has passed, and then finally you got the okay. Did you have some kind of celebration when you finally made it, or were there some moments where you thought, okay, this is never going to happen? We're going to drop out on the project because it takes too long, it's too difficult or anything?
Yeah, I actually doubted very hard if we can ever get the funding or if it's worth the money.
Yeah,
because we waited for a year and still didn't know if we get it or if they say no in the end.
Yeah.
But in the end, we got it and made it to the funding. The funny thing is, we didn't get the money for the first months until early this month. So 50k euros. We didn't. We have to bring in ourselves because the process to get the money from the funding is not that fun either.
Yeah.
But yeah, right now we got it and I can sleep again.
Okay. It sounds like a fun story, right? So funny thing, we didn't get the money for
absolutely
another 3 months.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, you applied then still for the de minimis funding, which means you get 30%, 70% of the project is paid by the BMVI, and you only have to bring another 30%, right?
Exactly.
So the sum make it up then, okay. And
but
then
the first 4 months we had to pay from our money because we didn't get the funding money until then.
Crazy, yeah.
So I think that is a very important thing actually for people to understand. When you apply for funding, it's not like they will give you 100% of your budget. You always have to bring like an own invest. And I mean, that can, sometimes it's a bit more, sometimes it's a bit less, but funding doesn't work like, oh, I have a great idea. Now, mommy, give me some money. It's, I mean, you need to have your own, you need to have your own cash at some point to actually apply for that.
And it's also important maybe to add this on that even if you receive the funding, it's not like you get a huge check from the BMVI with the whole money at all, and then it's just like, here's all of the money, now go on and make the game and then talk to us again when it's done. No, depending on the funding that you receive, there are different processes. And regarding the BMVI, it's just like you have to write all the costs for last month and next month, or like 6 weeks in advance, something like that.
Yes.
And then you have to send them the list with all the sound files that you are recording or whatever, what costs are involved. And then they are checking this, and if they think it's fine, they send you a check for this next six weeks. And this process has to be done all over again of the project to being able to receive all the money in the end.
So it's an ongoing process. It's like the work doesn't end on that point when you get the confirmation.
How long is your project planned in the end? How many months?
It's planned for a year, so we're finished the last day of October this year.
Okay. And are you on plan?
Right now, yes. We made a at the beginning we wanted to make a big amount of time in planning, so we can later get more in the real development without having planning issues. So it would go faster from the start.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, just between us, because no one else is here and is listening. But didn't you use the time in between and start secretly working on that?
Actually, no.
Oh, you didn't. Oh, I mean, you have been busy with other projects, right?
Yeah, we had our other project on October last year. We were at the Erfurt with Mall Crashers, so we really started. First time we got the fundings. Without the fundings, we wouldn't start this project.
Yeah.
So we actually started it as we should.
Lucky us that you get the funding, because I can't wait to actually try out 50 ways to kill an alien. I hope I'm gonna experience all 50 ways. So when
Some of them are secret. Not all of them are that easy to get.
Yeah, but I mean, now I know someone from the devs, which I can always ask for some hints and tips and like.
What are the cheat codes?
You didn't ask for the platforms that you are going to
Right.
release, or did I miss that out?
I wrote it. No, we didn't. I wrote that down as well because I want to know too. We didn't ask yet.
The main platform is PC, and if the sales are good, we want to expand it on the 3 big consoles: Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch.
Nice.
And do you have plans to self-publish it on your on Steam then when we're talking about PC, or are you looking for a publisher? Maybe someone's watching, who knows?
Oh, we're looking for a publisher. If we are a bit further in development and can show them more of the game, then we plan to reach out to several publishers. We talked to some of them, but need more details and more of the game so that the publishers would say, okay, we fund this relative new team.
Yeah. At least, I mean, you have a track record of proven projects so far. It's not like that it's the first thing at all that you are doing. So that's a good thing.
Yep. I think so too. I'm looking forward to hear, see, read, and play more from you guys and girls at Rehuman Games. And I'm so glad that we actually met.
Yeah,
me too.
It has been fun.
But can you tell us a bit more about how is the game development scene in Leipzig at the moment, or the indie scene? Is there something? Are there some round tables? I mean, now you are not gathering at all, I guess, because no one does it in these COVID times. But how happy are you with the development scene or indie scene within Leipzig?
Actually, it's a bit sad. We have a roundtable that was founded not that long ago, because there are not that many developers in Leipzig. So the roundtable was founded to make it bigger and connect each other. In the COVID times, they made it all digital. You can experience it. Game Dev Leipzig meetups, it's called. So if you're interested, go check it out. It's usually once per month that we come together and connect, have some people give talks about development.
Yeah, cool. So, in a nutshell, how many teams are located in Leipzig? Is there a rough number that you can give us?
About 10,
Okay.
and some of them are more indie than others.
Yeah.
But the big team is not here. My professor from the university worked at Ubisoft, and he is trying still to get Ubisoft to Leipzig.
Yeah, okay. Now we got them in Berlin, sorry, but they can also come to Leipzig, open up another office.
Yeah, but you don't need them all in Berlin, you know? And I mean, so what I can say about Leipzig is that it is a very nice city. And actually, I mean, I've never lived there. I just, visited friends there, but I think it's a lovely city where I could imagine myself to live actually. So from that surrounding, I think it's nice. Don't go all to Berlin. I mean, there are other cities.
Question, Leipzig is a beautiful city, and I enjoyed it very much when Gamescom was still Games Convention and it was happening in Leipzig. That was amazing. There's nothing here to blame about Leipzig. I'm asking these questions because quite often I see this. I mean, there's a local funding program in Leipzig as well, or it's called Mitteldeutsche Medienförderung, MDM, and usually they are, I'm not sure which countries of Germany they actually provide the funding for, but it's several, I think. And in the end, they are always looking for projects because there are not so many teams applying somehow. And then I always think, okay, in the East, it's maybe a bit like more in the East, there's not so much going on regarding game development at this time. So I'm happy to hear that you're proving me wrong.
Actually, I know someone who got the MDM funding.
Cool.
A friend from university made his own company with some other friends, and they got the fundings.
Nice.
As I recall, the problem with that funding is they are more on the movie and video side. So if you make a game, it should be more based on story or story driven at best.
Yeah. Okay.
To assure that it's that you get the funding. That is all information. So don't take my word for it, but that's what I heard some time ago.
What you just hear from another person, yeah. I see. I want to go quickly, through the chat and see if there are any questions or something like that for you. Because, I mean, I hate to break it, but our time is almost up. Actually, it is up.
Well, I have to say something about the funding.
Sure.
There was one thing. The funding, it's a bureaucracy mess, and I really don't like that. But I have to say, all the people I've worked there, they are giving their best, and they are great people who really try together to make that we can have the fundings, even if the bureaucracy is in the way. So shout outs to them.
Yep. Germany is a very bureaucratic country, that's for sure. And, I think that was the first, you were actually in the first wave, right, of the
Yes.
funding. And it was the first time for them as well. And as you said, clearly, apparently, obviously, from, the papers you had to fill in, all their work until that point hasn't been in any kind related to games. And I think for games projects, some stuff, needs to be adapted. That's like, a learning they have to do as well. And I'm glad to hear actually that it worked out and that so many, I mean, what hasn't over 200 studios actually, right, André?
Yeah, so far 220. I mean, that are at least listed. And
that are at least listed.
But that's the status quo. It's a good thing. I mean,
It is.
I totally agree with you, Astrid, because Germany also has a lot of bureaucracy, and it also has a great blaming culture of things not
Yes.
working. So it's important to say, in the end, it's a good story that there's a lot of money from the government being put into the games industry that we all benefit from somehow. And hopefully this also kickstarts the German games industry or indie games industry to the next level.
Yay.
We can hope to get it better in the next years, so game
Yeah,
developers have it more easy to ask for funding.
Yeah, and I think that they made some experience with the DLR or DLR, who's the project Träger. I don't know how this to call in English,
Yeah,
but they are doing all the management of the actual funding process, and then they also learn within the process and trying to make it better and easier for people to apply. So
Yeah.
things are only get better, hopefully.
On that point. Nice. Wolfgang, I would just, you know what? I would just cut you out now at that point, because otherwise I think that André won't stop asking questions.
It was a pleasure, Wolfgang.
It was a
It was my
pleasure.
Thanks for
Thank
inviting
you.
me.
Thank you so much for being with us on, I mean, that was a very short time and very spontaneously planned, and it was so fun to have you here. We stay in contact for sure. Yeah, let's say bye, and I will push, you know what, the magic button. We can do like this. Push,
Bye.
push
Bye.
the magic button. So, André, we can try something very fun now. We can either have like a very little break and I try, you know, to insert the correct links and the correct frames, whatever. Or we can just, you know, go on talking and I try to do it whilst we are talking.
Bring it on.
Bring it on. So
yeah, sure. We are. I hate this little break thing. And,
me too.
we want to see you. We want to see you sweat while pushing the buttons.
I'm not sweating while pushing the buttons, but I think that I do like, you know, make a weird face. Maybe.
Yeah.
So I can at least see in my interface that Atta is already ready. Ready.
Oh. Sadly, I couldn't bring on my Witcher cosplay joke with Wolfgang now because of the sword and everything on the back. So we have to invite him again, and hopefully he has the sword on his back then as well. Okay, Wolf, there you are. The Witcher's back.
No, that's not what I wanted to do.
Just kidding. Yeah. Nice.
I mean, it's fun. It's fun. That's not what I wanted to do, but
Awesome.
I think, you know what? I think I failed, but in a good way.
Okay. Maybe we do a break next time.
We do a break next time. So, Wolfgang, I will just cut you out again and try to go on with my. You know what? Maybe I need to. Okay, maybe I need to activate the studio modus first, which sounds like a good idea. And then I can do clicky stuff here without changing also the stream screen. Oh, that is so good, Astrid.
We can also say hi to Wolfgang again.
I mean, that would be fun, but now that you did your Witcher joke, you know.
Yeah. Now we are done. So maybe
we are done.
Maybe while you push the buttons, maybe say some words about the next person who's going to join us.
Yeah, maybe you could.
I'm going to do so.
That would be nice.
Next person going to join us is not Wolfgang, hopefully, but Atta. And Atta is from Torpor Studios, and they are doing a great game did a great game on Steam, which is SUZERAIN. I'm not sure whether I pronounce it correct all the time, but usually I say SUZERAIN. It's available on Steam, and you can buy and play it right now. And he also applied. He and Torpor Studios also applied for funding by the BMVI. And while having a game, I think it's a great idea to have him here and talk about this.
Yeah, and you know what? I made it. I think I've done everything.
I thought you look like you're just patiently waiting for me to stop talking to push the yay. Hello, Wolfgang. No, just kidding. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Good to see you all. Thanks for having
Actually,
me.
your background looks like one of the stock photos that you can pick in Zoom, but that is actually your office this time.
Yeah, this is the real place.
Yeah, cool.
Why does your office look like this, and why does my office looks like this? I mean, everything I can present is like a very fat cat in the background. And I mean, André is always showing the
Yeah.
same picture.
You know, it has a nice homely feel, your background, which is much more preferable, I guess.
Is this like a shared working space or something like this? Because it's not like
Yeah,
there are so many people working at Torpor Games, right?
Not yet. Maybe in the
Not yet.
future.
Okay. Right. And
Like this is Factory Berlin. It's a
yeah.
community of business people, creatives, and artists, and all that stuff. It is a more filtered co-working space.
Mhm.
So has an application process, review process, all that stuff. But yeah, we're based here in Berlin.
Nice. So now that we know where you're based, and I mean, André did a almost pretty much good introduction of you, but you know what? I would say just introduce yourself again to make sure that we didn't miss out anything.
Yeah, my name is Atta. I'm the managing director of Torpor Games, a studio we founded last year, and ever since then we've been working on SUZERAIN, also a bit before then. And yeah, we released December 4th, 2020, literally a week close to Cyberpunk, which is a crazy timing for an indie game to attempt. Yeah, and we're on Steam and Humble and GOG right now. Release went well, and we've supported our product with a good big patch called 1.1, and yeah, things have been going on.
As far as I saw, your game is actually going pretty good on Steam, right? Like
Yeah,
it was
kinda
successfully
blew
published.
our expectations. Like it was insane. We're like, okay, oh god, what's happening here? Yeah.
Let's talk some rough numbers. I mean, what kind of how many sales did you expect, honestly, and how much are you roughly doing at the moment?
Honestly, when we were talking straight numbers, I would say like we were expecting 15K, and
Yeah.
we're past that, and we were expecting 15K
I
within
mean,
the first 6 months, honestly. And
15K of copies, not
yes,
revenue.
15K
Okay.
copies, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and we're beyond that in under 2 months. So yeah, very good. Like much better than we expected. I mean, it's very unique because like our game is a very niche game.
Yeah.
It is something that you would not expect that would succeed. Generally, that's another thing. Like in the games industry, there's a back and forth about like you got to be this way, you got to be that way. I mean, sometimes you just got to be your own way, I guess. And for us, that was the case. A political narrative role-playing game succeeding is quite the story, especially in this environment where there are people coming out saying politics have no place in games. We're
Ah.
like, here we are, like.
And you also get like very good media actually. So 937 is one of our followers in the chat. Hello, by the way, 937 and Bolondage and Flying Dechi and everyone else who just joined. Hello. That in the Spiegel, which is like one of, I think, the biggest press outlets in Germany, said that this is maybe the most realistic game about politics. I mean, when you get like press stuff, etc. in that outlets as well, and not only gaming related outlets, that is very good, and that pushes, of course, as well, right?
Yeah, it does. It was interesting. I mean, we've gotten some press from the games media, but traditional media has given us much more coverage, which was a very interesting event that happened with our game. I mean, Weiss recently put out a massive article. They've mentioned us twice on their Waypoint podcasts.
Yeah.
Spiegel had the Spiegel had the article, and we
Nice.
also had the Deutschlandfunk radio, the German public radio, do a 4-minute
Yeah.
segment on public radio as well as Austrian radio.
Yeah.
So it's been insane, honestly. It's been very good on that side. We didn't get some reviews from some of the game sites and games press, but like we did get some really good mentions and some good reviews as well, and some others. But yeah, overall, very positively received so far.
Yeah, that's great to hear, and I'm especially happy about this trend to see more like media coverage on traditional media outlets, as you mentioned before, like having Spiegel talking more about games, and not only about games like Cyberpunk and all the biggest outliers or Red Dead Redemption and so on, but also about more like my indie projects. I mean, this somehow happened with how's the swastika game called again? through the darkest of times. This happened for the first time.
Don't
like, when
describe it as how is a swastika game called again. Don't
sorry.
describe it as that, André.
Yeah, I mean, I did so because it was the first game to be allowed to have to display a swastika within a video game, because that was
is
usually
right.
not allowed in Germany.
Yeah,
And
that
this
is right.
somehow pushed or gave them the opportunity to talk to traditional media that were picking, or the feuilleton that was picking up this topic somehow. And hopefully this opened up like the traditional view or the view of traditional media on games, that they are not like about the next FIFA or the next Red Dead Redemption blockbuster, but that they are very creative indie projects that are also touching topics that are more diverse, like shooting and kicking balls, by talking about politics. Especially politics.
Especially politics.
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean, it's a strong medium, right? Like it can talk about many things. It's kind of it was interesting to observe that in the past, I think 15 to 20 years, when
Yeah.
the traditional media has seen, I mean, at least some part of traditional media has seen games as a certain way, but it's kind of like a very narrow-minded look, because like, I mean, do you judge the entire movie industry by looking at Transformers? You don't. Like it's that kind of approach is also wrong for games. If you look at it one game and then kind of brand all the games industry, like the games industry is massive. Like it can cater to everyone. So there's no point in, doing the strawman argument and just like picking one out and just like, these are games, all violent, all shooting. Like, just no.
how many people have been working at SUZERAIN in total?
In total, we had 7 people work on the project. I would say the core team is 3 full-time, and we had people part-time and people freelance. As a small studio, obviously you got to remain flexible, and also there are budgetary limitations, so we can't have always people full-timing, and it most of the time doesn't make sense either. So yeah, 7 people in total that put their work into the project.
How long did it? How long did it take to actually, from like the very first beginning until the project got published?
A very long time.
Because you were just 7 people.
Yeah, so like the initial team of 3 was there at the core team of 3 was also there at the beginning. So we started prototyping very early on. The thing was, we started. I I had a very weird like concept idea in the middle of the night. It was like the end of 2016. It was December. It was so way back then. And the idea hit me as like, why is there nothing psychological or emotional about politics? Like, why isn't there a game that tells like the more human side of the story? Because it's all like strategy, and like not all, but like most is strategy. I don't want to like put everything in one basket. Like, but mostly we see like numbers, values, sliders. We're like, well, there's a human story behind of it all, and why isn't that being covered? So we kind of like got out with the concept, and we wanted to do something that we can make as developers, because our skill sets and everything was limited. So we were like, what can we do with the skill sets we have? Obviously there's like other things like that. We didn't have any funding, so everybody worked on low intensity for years. We prototyped and prototyped and prototyped, and the game wasn't really good until like 2019, I would say, because which was still a prototype. And that's when we sought out funding, and we got the funding, and that allowed us to enter production and like take that prototype and make a game out of it, because it is really hard to find money without a prototype. But at the same time, like it's really hard to make a prototype because you don't have money. So it's this like weird cycle. Like you just don't know what to do. But it was our process. It took a very long time, and very key for us was feedback. I think we had 280 people play the game before we went to the publisher with the prototype. Like we had so many people, so many rounds of feedback. It was insane. Yeah, that helped a lot.
Where did people play the game then? I mean, was it all just friends, or did you do some community work? Did you set up a forum, or your Discord? I don't know. Where did you get those first 280 people to play your prototype?
I mean, it was a lot of friends, and then expanding to events. We went to indie game dev events. We went to places, and like we kind of displayed there. And after we got the funding, we continued doing that, because some of our development processes were still going on. and it helped us like make sure we're on the right track. And we still are continuing an essence of that. Like the game is released and we've put out major features out, we put out new content, reading all that feedback. It doesn't end for us. And honestly, if we'd closed down and did our own thing and didn't listen to like a lot of the other feedback, I don't think the game would have succeeded anyway.
Yeah.
I actually have a question to check if I understood things right. So, as you applied for the funding, you have already been working on the game actually for almost 2 years, right?
Your voice cut out. Could you repeat that?
Sorry, I said, as you applied for the funding, you already have been working for the game pretty much almost 2 years with all the prototyping that you have been doing, etc., right?
Yes, the funding we received isn't for the PC and Mac
Yeah.
version of the game.
Mm.
That is separate. So we funded the PC and Mac version with our publisher. We received investment with our publisher and a publishing deal, and that was the main funding source. And we also raised private investment to support some of the aspects of the project and the company. The BMVA funding, like the BMYI funding from the government, is meant to expand SUZERAIN to new platforms.
Right.
On those details, we will make more public announcements in the future when we have actually more things to share. So I don't want to go into further details on those, but yes,
No
that is
worries, man. It's
for.
just us. You can tell us everything.
Well, I mean, when we share something, we want to really share. Like, we want to show our processes, we want to share screenshots, what our plans are. It's like it doesn't mean much if you just say we're doing this. Like, yes,
I totally
Well,
get it.
this is also, excuse me, Astrid, please go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to mention it again because I think that is also important to understand for the chat for our viewers. So you know there are different ways to get a funding, or you can actually apply for a funding for different stuff. Like, you know, Wolfgang, who has been our guest before, they actually applied for funding at the very beginning. They didn't, you know, worked on prototypes and stuff like that. They were at the beginning where they had like an idea about a game. And in Atta's case, they already, you know, you already had a game actually, and you applied for funding to work on the game. And as you just mentioned, actually, yeah, for
it's
additional
important
stuff.
to separate. That is one of the key guidelines of the funding, of the federal funding. You have to make sure you don't work on the project. We haven't had worked on it before. You have to start with the funding, which is one of the key aspects of that is like critical about this funding program, because it can put developers into certain very tricky situations. A lot of indie devs are very like non-bureaucratic, flexible creatives, so they can find themselves in very tough spots. And it also comes back to the point I mentioned, like you need money to develop something, and then you need to have something developed to be able to like sell it, and like it's this like cycle. So it's something that you got to be really careful about.
Yeah, this is actually it was nearly the same that I wanted to add as well, Astrid. So good thing that I didn't interrupt you this time. You know, but I just want to add, this is a clever trend that you see when you're taking a look at all the projects that got funding. Like there are a lot of projects who did it, like Astrid mentioned, just having the idea, then get the funding. But the more clever people were just like, okay, we have this project already. Let's do a port, or let's do a DLC or something, which gives us more flexibility to being able to secure this money while not having to rely on that.
Yeah, it's it definitely is a process. So, I mean, I am used to complex project applications because I ran a European Union NGO, and I applied to the Commission on projects, and these were like 70, 80-page applications with like dozens of things to fill out. So it wasn't the first time I'm doing something bureaucratic, and even then, it was a learning process, not just for the government, also for me. So we're like all on all ends. So I definitely calculate that in if you're gonna apply for the funding. Now is a better time because you know the growing pains have been, I think, made for many, and the help is great. I mean, the thing is, the reason why we founded in Germany and in Berlin, one of the reasons is like was this, because I saw this coming into 2018. And I knew that there was a future and there was an opportunity to create indie games and like not be in a very rough position where you know you have to kind of work on getting profit or work on cutting like bad publishing deals to survive. Because the thing is, indies really thrive in an environment of safety and financial stability and like at least some support. And that's what Germany's finally like providing on the federal side, besides all the state levels of funding which also exist and you can seek out.
I mean, and it's important to add on this. This is not like something that Germany is now leading worldwide regarding the terms of funding. I mean, this is something that several other countries do for a long time already, and why maybe the games industry in Canada is a bit more ahead of the things that we are doing, because they have a way easier process of funding your projects by getting tax credits, for example. So it's not like that Germany is now the leader regarding funding of indie games or anything. It's just like they are doing the same now, like a lot of other countries did before. That doesn't mean I'm not happy about it. It's just to put this into perspective, that this is a competition that is going on worldwide at this time.
Yeah, the UK has a great tax credit, has been going on for a while, drew a lot of companies to that country. Yeah, like France too and Canada.
Right.
I guess you guys just heard that sound in the background, did you?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, that's because I started the game. Woohoo! So, yeah, I mean, you guys can actually go on talking, but I want to actually play a bit. And so that's what I do now, actually. Yeah.
Nice.
Nice. Maybe the chat can give me a feedback if the sound is good like this, if I should, make it a bit more loud or actually a bit more silent or whatever. Whatever. I mean, just give me a quick feedback, please, and I will check if I can help you. So, I must admit that I did already play a little bit, not that much. Maybe like 1 hour, something like that. And I think
maybe first question, it's running on Unity, or which engine are you using?
We are using Unity. We settled for Unity because like it was accessible and there was a lot of online sources to get us going. So, and I also worked on Unity before. There's always that thing with in the industry. Yeah, that is really good.
And I mean, another question that I'm eager to ask for a long time now, because I played the game, is like, I mean, it's very much decision based. Yeah, there's a lot of decisions that need to be done within this game. Is there some kind of engine that you're using to connect all the text dots or something? Is there some other tech that you are using? Because I know there's things like Inkle Writer that can help you on that. And I'm curious whether you developed this all by yourself or whether you're using some middleware.
So we use Artisy, and that is
Cool.
one software that has been like really helpful. We started without Artisy, and our processes were really slow. We could have developed our own thing, but then that was a good solution. So we kept on developing on it, and it's been working well for us. That helped us kind of like get the really detailed stuff in, get complex systems in. Yeah, Artisy was a tool that we kind of utilized since 2018, I would say.
we have actually a question in the chat. 937 asked, how did you manage it that a political game can't be abused for extremist gameplay, and how that part affected funding?
Interesting. So, I mean, at the essence, we want to dive a bit deeper. Like, our goal was always to kind of get the psychological aspects of any type of leader across. So this means that we try to look at it as a blank state. So we're like, okay, all these things happen, right? Like these things happen in reality. What can we create that allows you to role play and get in these shoes and understand some of these decisions and understand how things unravel? Because people don't go from A to C in one go. There are a lot of steps along the way, right? There are a lot of steps that shape leaders, humans, in their action, their lives. Our game is kind of a display of that. It just step by step, like things happen and can like go down that way. So that kind of approach of looking at everything from a like a very neutral perspective, because our team is like very varied. We have different opinions and everything, but we were like, okay, we got to go to the bottom of this thing. Like, what is the bottom element of politics? And when we approach it like that, it really means that we're looking at it as an art product, as an experiment of like what rulership means. rather than, here's this thing where you can just, do it like an extremist thing. Like,
Hmm.
that's not our goal, and that's where the human element comes in, because people react to what you do, and other countries react to what you do. There can be positive or negative consequences, and like all these things come together, so that makes it really nuanced. It's
Yeah.
not something you can hop in and be like, I'm going to be the bad guy right now. Like, you can be a bad guy in many games, but this game kind of goes like really deep in how it happens and what happens to all the people around you and to yourself.
Huh.
So that's why the funding wasn't affected by it. Yeah.
That brings me actually to another question, because right in the beginning, when you start the game, you actually have to make a lot of decisions, like, who you want to join, if you want to protest, if you are worried about the revolution going on and stuff like that, your political orientation. Is this all like deeply, influencing everything else that I'm doing later? Or can I actually turn from a good guy to a bad guy? Or reverse?
So, you can turn like in many ways and forms in this game. Like, it's a very dynamic story. The prologue affects as much as you realistically would expect. So like, how would a decision you made 35 years ago influence you right now? Like, realistically, right? It goes that far. So basically, what you studied changes some things people mention. If you're poor, you get some public opinion bonus because you're more sympathetic. If you're rich, you get more money because obviously you're rich. Starting life rich is easier, right? I mean, and there's like other things, like if you spend time with your party and like instead of your family, and you do certain combinations that might help you in certain political processes. So there are factors like that. If you have been a member of a political youth organization and then you decide to fund them or ban them, there will be repercussions because you have a past with them, stuff like that basically. So I would say some of it more than others, but it's kind of as you would logically expect. Yeah.
I have been a good person. I decided to spend more time with my family.
Which has a good side too.
Maybe you can explain a bit more what's going on at the moment and how the typical gameplay of SUZERAIN looks like, because it's everything is based on decisions that you have to make,
Yeah.
that you have to do all the time, which is Astrid doing at the moment, or trying to do at the moment.
I'm doing
Yeah.
good. Excuse me. I'm a good decision maker. Hello? Mommy knows best. I'm taking
never
good care.
questioned that, but it looks like your economy is not thriving yet.
Yeah, it's the game is kind of played through a dialogue system and
Yeah.
has that RPG-esque element to it. So it's really familiar and easy to kind of use. You have that core dialogue menu, you talk with these characters, you strike decisions, and most of the decisions are in dialogue, which makes them more like normal or like realistic in a way for this political like leadership position of a president. The economy starts badly because the country is trying to recover from a recession, and the country is also in dire need of reforms. So there are a couple of things that you're tackling, and there's also external threats. Yeah, and you get to the leadership side of this country and try to rule it the way you want and see what happens.
Yeah, right now I'm very torn. I don't know if I want to support him like 100% or if I just want to tell him like, okay, I'm listening to you guys, but I wanted some. Okay, let's be a bit more.
Yeah.
I'm at least
now-
listening to them.
The vice president, the chief strategist, is kind of like going through the reforms choices and how you want to go down it, and this really also branches the game, especially in the early part, and also influences the late game. So these are one of the bigger choices. There are like, we kind of looked over, like we have 460 choices that kind of like are really important, and some of them more inside those. And we also have some interesting stats, like we apparently wrote 1,150 news articles,
Yeah.
which is a bit insane.
How much text is in the game actually? Word count.
It's 450,000 something.
Okay, so no translations will be made, or
Yeah, how does the localization looks like?
Unless we win the lottery. It's not likely. Honestly, if you really want to do it, there are some constraints regarding that. There are some technical constraints regarding the back end that needs to be adjusted. and there are financial constraints about it. We really want to be a position where like, okay, let's do like 5-6 languages, but it is very complex to do and very very expensive for a small studio,
Yeah.
especially with this word count.
So Flying Dutchie mentioned that I should just be like the ultimate politician, keep asking questions and listen only. We do that, Flying Dutchie, we do that.
Yeah. And there are other menus in the game. I think you've already seen them at the bottom left. You have the you can always check the country overview and the political overview. Those like help you get like a rough idea of the situation in the country. We use these elements to kind of enrich this RPG dialogue experience to make it more like, okay, hey, this is the UI overview of the country, and these things change as you play and do your actions. This helps you like kind of get through the experience much better. And this is also what makes the game visually more pleasing to the eye, because it's not just text, it's just well visualized text, not amazing, but like it's okay.
Are the names procedural generated, or is it the same kind, or the same names all over if I replay the game? Talking about replay.
It's the same characters, the same names. Like we spent a lot of effort on these characters, and that's the thing. Those are like all deliberate choices that we made, intentional choices. Because if you procedure generate a character, you can only go into so much detail.
Yeah.
You end up in a situation, which also, by the way, works for that type of design, but like Crusader Kings, right? Like you have all these generated characters, but you don't have predefined. I mean, mostly not predefined backstories. There are some really good historical characters. But that is an experience of its own. Our game is more about like we really condense you in this like leadership experience. We want the world to feel really realistic. There's codex articles about everything, and we really want you to be here and understand the world and make the decisions accordingly. So it's a condensed experience, and the replayability is not meant to be more than 2 or 3 times. It's like what we never really intend to have this like CK style experience, like you go back in, everything changes. No, the choices do change things a lot, because we've seen players go through like 3-4 different runs and like do completely different things and actually be satisfied with the playthroughs, which is very positive for us. That means our choices are well deserved and like they matter, but the game wasn't designed to be constantly replayed experience.
How long is the playtime in total?
Playtime in total, like it as the way it is intended to be played, which is like reading news and reports, I would be saying like 10 to 12 hours. If you don't read the side information, which helps you make the right choices and like or to get more informed choices, I would say 6, 7, 8 hours.
So with side information,
20.
You mean that stuff actually with side information?
Yeah, codex, like you have the news at the top, at the top center. And when if you click on the news, that will open like different newspapers on the left.
Oh.
And each of them have like different political biases, and they write accordingly to your choices. And the reports are government reports on the cities and on the other countries on the map. So all of those combined give the full experience of I did something happened, these are the opinions, what should I do next?
I mean, I feel so epic. Like, look what I just said. It is a time of hope. It is a time of change. Swordland today, what have they written to me? As you guys in the chat, as you can see, I am not very far into the game at that point. That is why I actually have to take more decisions right now. It's my status quo is that I just run like the election, yay, and now getting like in touch with all the people that are working for me, and they're reporting to me what is going on in the country. Yeah,
it is a very slow and paced experience. We're really going for the immersion here, because that's what we're focusing on. We're focused on this core narrative.
Oh no, now you got frozen, Atta.
Yeah.
Into it.
Oh no, you're back. I thought so. Factory has a very good internet connection usually, or?
Is there an issue?
No, now it's everything good.
Okay. I was saying it's a very focused experience on the narrative, on the core dialogues and the characters. Yeah,
I mean, as you can see, the election has been very close for me. I mean, I didn't. Yeah, sorry. Talking about the game. Sorry.
Yeah.
What were there some kind of inspirations that you used? I mean, by talking about political, what immediately came to my mind is Reigns. Somehow, I guess most of you people know it, the swiping game where you make decisions based on your kingdom. Is there some are there some other titles that inspired you to do something like that, or was this idea always in your mind like this, and didn't really look for competing titles?
I mean, it's really it's hard to say that we had like a straight competitor, because this game doesn't really have a competitor because it's a mix of so many different things.
Yeah,
That's why like it's very genre fluid. It's like a lot of people kind of say it's a visual novel, but then there it has like some, like has a lot of numbers at the back that create that strategy aspect in
yeah,
certain ways with values. But at the same time, it's more of a narrative, so it's like kind of a story game. At some point, it's an RPG. So like, it's really hard to kind of put Suzerain down into one thing.
Mhm.
It has elements of a lot of things. Game wise, I would say, from a capability perspective, at least as a visual presentation perspective, um, initially we were kind of inspired by Tyranny, um,
Yeah,
of their prologue, because we thought it was a simplistic and successful design, um, but it was just a technical inspiration,
Mhm.
of what can we do as indie devs that are like, starting their own company for the first time, starting first projects, at least as a team. And there, obviously there are other inspirations, like we had media, like influence from media, like we love The Crown as a series,
yeah,
and House of Cards was like a strong inspiration the first couple of seasons. There were like a lot of things. Mad Men, 1950s elements, because the game is
Mhm.
set in a fictional 1950s universe. We took some elements of that. It's just, these are like wide inspirations. I also read a lot of books about politics, trying to get into the zone of like these core theories and like ideas. A lot of things, a lot of things. I can't, but it's really hard to pinpoint this game or that game or this thing. One thing that
Yeah,
was really interesting is a lot of people in our community, and we did not know about this, also pointed out that this game is a remake of Hidden Agenda, apparently, which is a 1980s DOS game about politics.
oh, I didn't know this one.
We did
Okay.
not know about this at all, which is a shock, because then we're looking at it and we're like, oh wow, it kind of actually feels like it a little bit. Uh, like, it was like, this was a shock for me, and then I was kind of like, oh, okay, kind of, art recreates art, and like something happens
Yeah.
just accidentally too. Like it's yeah, it was weird, but yeah, that's maybe the closest thing. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Maybe it has more mechanics, but kind of looks like the closest. Um, yeah.
Um, you what I also had on my list here regarding question is when it comes to when we're talking about balancing this game.
Mm.
I mean, how, and you talked already about, okay, yeah, you had a lot of people playing this, but what kind of metrics did you use to evaluate the balancing somehow? Then, I mean, do you have some kind of statistic engine in the background that tracks like how many which decisions did people make in the game, so you can adjust this later on, or how do you balance something like this? It's hard to imagine for me.
It's very hard to balance. So it's a constant fight between narrative and what we think certain values should be. It's a balance, so it's very difficult. So our game runs on several numerical systems, actually. So one is
Yeah,
the economy. We have economy stats of the budget, which is your active money in your hands, and the economy, which is development. And these things are like off balancing and balancing each other. You lose economy, you lose money, you gain it, and it's very like complex, honestly, throughout the game. Like all the economic choices add or take things. There's a personal budget, which is your own money as the president. So like when you take bribes, that goes into your own
yeah.
pocket. And if you're born rich, you start with extra money, stuff like that. You can spend these political
So
stuff or like your own.
connecting this to the gameplay, so that's the stuff that's happening on the top left corner. There I can see my budget and my
Yes.
wealth, or what?
Yes, yes. And we simplify these values because if we, so like our game design doesn't want to approach it from a realism perspective per se, like when it comes to values, because When you get down to the nitty gritty, then you're creating a sim. Like ours is a narrative experience. It's more about the meaning of a value rather than the exact numerical simulation of value. So that's why budget is 3, not 30 billion or something, you know.
Okay.
And this simplifies it for everyone because it makes it accessible, and we want everybody to be able to kind of enjoy this and understand and go down into the depths of this experience of being a ruler. Yeah, and that's the reason of that. There are other systems as well. So we also have a political leaning system. So we track what, like, where you are. Like, are you more democratic or not democratic? Are you more centralizing or not, and stuff like that. There's like a couple elements we track at the background. We track public opinion. We track stability, kind of like unrest to a certain degree in certain ways. So there's massive sheets throughout the game that we track, a lot of numbers, and we try to balance that so the narrative is in flow with the numbers, because it also needs to react to the numbers correctly. And when you have such a massive project, it can be very difficult, but we managed so far. At least a good degree.
I can imagine that this is a very difficult challenge to overcome. I mean, how to imagine that if at a dialogue like this? I mean, you are tracking. Maybe people are always picking number 1, and then you think like, okay, it's not an interesting decision to do 2 or 3. Are you then rewriting the dialogue, or how does this work?
I mean, it really depends. So, like, obviously, a lot of the dialogue in the game serves for role-playing aspects. Not every piece of dialogue will make a change, but like, I mean, it makes a change in that dialogue itself with these characters and with your roleplay. But it doesn't, like, not everything is a choice, like a major choice. But we do analyze, like, we do balance. So basically, when we first released the game, passing the new constitution with these reform process that Astrid is going through now was very easy. So like, it was like you could mostly pass it, right? And
I don't think it's easy. I'm sorry to say that, but some of the decisions are like, you know, I really need to think if I want to go that way or this way. And remember,
I have the same experience, actually.
Yeah, and remember in the preparing call that we had that I told you that I feel like very tempted to be actually a bad person in that game. I don't know why. I don't know why this game makes me want to try to be a bad person. And every time I want to try to be a bad person, I try to be a, you know, like the opposite, like the most nice person you could imagine. This is why I'm very democratic and left-winged right now, going strong in the game.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, the thing I mentioned was like way later when you get to the assembly where you're like, you have to get a certain amount of votes to kind of get the Supreme Court to vote on the new constitution. That part was way easier, for example. Like, and then we went to the balancing. We looked at how many votes each party gives the player and what's the balance. And it's like, okay, this is too easy. Let's make it more difficult. How can we feed all the choices more into it and stuff like that? Like, it is a balancing act. We collect saves from players. We look at a lot of bug reports. We're very active with our community. So it's a constant process. Like, we started on a good foot. It was not perfect, but now we're getting closer to perfect. Like, we are inching every patch on the way. It will never be perfect, but like, it's a constant, improvement struggle. And when it comes to the why is the game trying to make us like a undemocratic person, or like force us, like this is a whole point of SUZERAIN, is like, it's hard to be good, it's hard to be right. Morality is always something that's questioned, especially in leadership positions. And we really want to go through the ethics of it. Like, is it okay to do bad things to make like great, like a strong law that would make positive change in the future? Like, is that okay? Or is it okay to take a lot of power for yourself and then do the good change with all the power? But does that mean when you're gone, what happens with that power? Does somebody else use it for good or bad?
For instance, right now, I want to be the media. I want the media to be independent. Like, that is my personal opinion. But I feel like I should actually take the media as a tool to be used right now to succeed in a game. And Flying Dutchie also says I should take the second, like, the media is a tool to be used, but that goes like completely against, my own political views. And I don't know what to do. I don't want to click anything. Okay, you know what?
So these are like
Independent.
dilemmas, and it goes way deeper. So like,
Ah!
for example, you say that here, right? Then you get to meet the media mogul, and you get to act.
Shoot! I should have chosen the other one.
You can use them. You can get that media control in other ways. Stuff like
Can I actually go back? Is it possible? Because now I hate myself that I didn't took the second opinion and decided that the media should be independent. Damn.
Yeah, and these are like some of the topics we want people to think about, right? Because games are a powerful tool, and interaction and agency and putting people in these shoes makes them think about it. And we want that discussion to be had. So this game is really not about like a lot of, also not a lot, but some part of our community is like very intense on getting the best ending. Like, what is the best combination of like these hundreds of choices? But for us, it was always like, what is your ending? Not the best. What happened to you and your choices? And what happens to all these leaders and their choices in our life, in our world, and throughout history? So it goes deeper than that. That's what we're trying to achieve.
And that's why I just pushed the Sid Meier's book into the display here again, because I mean Sid Meier is always telling about games are about interesting decisions, and I think that is something that SUZERAIN does very well. Where it doesn't feel like a multiple choice test where answer A is obviously wrong, answer B as well, so it must be C then, because that's the only thing that sounds reasonable. But this game is more like, I mean, as you mentioned before, it's very nuanced. And when I played the game, I'm reading A Promised Land by Barack Obama at the moment. And I was always like thinking like, okay, what would Barack Obama do in this situation? Because you see, I mean, politics is not, I'm preaching to the choir here, yeah, I'm sorry, but politics is not about that something is definitely right and the other thing is wrong. And I think that is the experience that SUZERAIN captures very well, because it really gives you this feeling of, I would love to do this, but I need to do that to succeed in the game somehow.
Yeah, that pragmatism is also like a key. You can actually fight through as an ideological person and in some ways still succeed, but I would say it's more risky to be fully like blindly ideological. You need to make logical choices. You need to give in certain parts to win in others. It's just like with anything in real life, like it's give and take, right? Like there needs to be a balance, and politics is like a little different. Actually, it's more complex. Like it's even more give and less take, and there are a lot of elements. Like our game also speaks a lot to centrism in certain ways. Like so there is, because Anton starts with the ruling party, which is like a big tent party that's more center, that's more moderate, and in a lot of ways conservative. So it actually, if you don't pass a lot of big changes, if you satisfy your base, you can like get reelected, and like not much will change in the country. You'll make small improvements, but
why do you tell me that now?
and like this is the point, right? It's easier to make small incremental changes in a society in certain ways, at least in our universe. You can argue different ways in different countries in any shape or form, of course, but in our universe, in this party, in this system that they're in, which has a high election threshold, which deletes anything below 10% of the votes. Like if you don't reach 10%, your party's not in. All the votes go to the other parties that pass 10%, which is a bad threshold, very undemocratic. And like with these laws, obviously these parties hang on to power, and what you only got to do is cater to your base. And as the Swordland Party, which is Anton's party, those are the conservatives mainly. So which puts a lot of our players in interesting positions.
We have 2 more questions actually in the chat.
Yeah,
just
an interesting decision to be made here.
That is also an interesting decision. But let me get back to the questions before I forget them, because I tend to be a little scribble. Is there a tutorial? I prefer games that don't make me feel like I have studied, like I have to have studied the gameplay. I mean, there was no tutorial actually, but in the first sequence, you have to do like a lot of decisions and actually get the story told, like the background and everything else. So I felt like I could totally start to play the game like in the first second. Actually, it is easy. It is easy to get into the game.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is intended like that. So yes, some of the political concepts might be foreign, but we explain a lot of things through dialogue, through your advisors. Your actual cabinet explains everything to you, which means that even if you don't know these concepts, you're there with a discussion and with different points of view explaining them to you. Maybe like, you don't know about planned economy, but then you have two ministers arguing for and against planned economy, then you learn about it. So the game is very simple. It's literally, if you know English and you can click, you should be fine. And yeah, that's what we wanted. Obviously, people who love political sciences are way into it. Like this is their thing, but we want it to be approachable as well. So people can like, oh, this is how it's to be a leader and talk to all these people, make these choices and stuff.
So this is how it feels to be brain. Where's my pinky? And 937, but I think that wasn't actually a serious question. But 937 asked if it's possible to get shot at the end. What? Why would you? Why would you want to get shot at the end, 937? And will the game be over then, or will you take over the new leader's character? So I think he simply wants to know what happens if you actually fail. When you can't win because you have been too democratic as I.
So it's so the game is a one-term game. That's specific. This is a decision we made. Like, this is about 4 years. So in these 4 years, what can you do? Can you put the country on a different path? Are you continuing what exists? Are you breaking the country down by your actions? Everything is included in those 4 years. And at the end of it, you have different endings. So we have 9 main endings and about 20 plus sub endings. So there's a lot of variation in how the game ends. Yes, you can get shot at the end, and there are
You
several
can?
reasons why you can get shot. And there are several reasons like ways to avoid getting shot. But again, just play it as you would with the experience. I think going online and looking at guides is just gonna break the immersion. And you won't take over the new character. The game will end at the end of the 4 years, and with whatever ending you get.
I can smell like, Suzerain Volume 2 coming up there, maybe.
I mean, if you multiply the 400 something choices by the amount of realities that it creates,
Yep.
Think out a bit.
like yeah. Another lottery win is necessary past the translation.
Going back to Holzort then in 2050 or something.
Also 2077. Yeah, Marcel Caronte is like here now. This is the media mogul, and you can click on the portraits to get more information on the right side. So like in the dialogue panel on the left, you can click on those portraits, the circular ones.
That is the
and
one.
That will open.
That is
so
one.
you can
Yep.
read more information.
Yeah, but I read everything I need to know about him already before, because he phoned me actually a while ago to let me know that he wants to talk with me. And that word, as I decided if I want to talk directly with him or not, I already read all the information I need to know about him.
Yeah. He's a very powerful media mogul, so that's probably all you need to know.
I'm trying to be very nice to him because now you got me so scared. Now that I know that I can be shot like for 2 different reasons.
Yeah, that's how it ends when you say the media should be independent. Maybe this was the wrong decision.
Yep, so I tried to turn it, and get a good output on here. But you know what? I think I mean I hate to break it, and I hate to say that actually, but I think our time is slowly running out. So I will finish the chat with Marcel here, and then I think I will save and play on later.
Will you refuse or accept? That's the question.
I don't know. I mean, so far he just wants me to, to talk and to invite.
Fine. There's nothing wrong with meeting. Yeah.
That's what I think too.
We mentioned it before, but there's the question again in the chat whether there will be translations. But yeah, if you don't win the lottery, or other question, did you have the idea of using the community to make some translations? I mean, there are the options with Steam workshops nowadays.
Yes, so we have a lot of passionate fans, and it is something that we did consider a little bit, at least like initially as an idea. But it has other problems because like as a small studio you have like a limited bandwidth, which means that you really have to focus on like what you need to work on next, or how the timeline fits. Because if there's a lot of technical aspects that needs to be managed to make a translation available for our game,
Yeah.
which means that we need to dedicate resources that are critical for the company to kind of, get the translations done. So if you're at a point where we're like, we can afford those resources, then
Mhm.
it makes a lot of sense. Like, why wouldn't we want? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I would love, because I want to spread this message. I really want to spread what this game does and what it's trying to do as a piece of art throughout the world, right? It is just, can we really do it as a company at this size and at our capabilities? And that's something that, if we can, we'll let people know. We definitely are thinking about all the support and all the passion and all the amazing love we're getting from everyone. Like, we really would love to. um,
Yeah.
but it's just, we'll see. Like, that's all I can say.
What is going on at your place, André? There are other people, right?
Not at my place, Atta's place, you mean?
Ah, sorry. I thought because
There's
your
a lot of
microphone
activity.
looks so professional that it wouldn't pick up any other voice activity, but it's always easier to play in actually André. I like to play him André.
I'm used to it. Bring it on. We need to have a firm grip on the media.
Here is another thing that 937 mentioned in the chat, and I agree on that. 937 just wrote, I think it could also be a good way to give an overview in a fun, educational way. And he's right, because I mean, politics in school can be very dry, very boring, and I see why so many young adults are not interested in politics at all, because from my school experience at least, no one in school actually triggered me on being interested in politics. So yeah, it's nice to have a game where you can actually learn more about that stuff and go deeper and get deeper into the topics, because it's so important nowadays that you actually keep informed, at least keep informed people and stuff. Like, oh, Andre wants to insert something
That's why,
here.
no, I'm just wanting to add on this. That's why SUZERAIN is the Landwirtschaft simulator of politics, actually. You see? Okay, you can have fun
Oh,
in the game
Yeah,
learning all
we're
about
the
politics
farm
too.
simmer of that section. Yeah, there's key. I think there's potential into having it as like at least like at certain parts of courses to kind of get like, I mean, if an entire class plays through the game and you have like 20 different playthroughs and everybody discusses what happened and what they think about the concepts, that would be
Yeah,
very valuable, because I think we also lack a lot of empathy. Society like tends to push people away that like we don't understand. And
yeah,
I think if we put ourselves in shoes of very tough situations and people that made some choices that unraveled, then maybe we can find solutions to avoid these things, right? And like make things better,
mm,
or maybe understand them, have some empathy, and like, yeah, look for long lasting solutions. And I think like in these concepts, as you mentioned, it can get dry. Like, I think also some paradox games were used in
yeah,
schools, like Hearts of Iron, and I saw like City Skylines was used as like a tool for like city planning in Sweden. Was it somewhere? Like, there are definitely educational uses for games, but our game is entertainment first, education second. So if you do it reverse, then you're not making a good game, I think.
yeah, yeah. I totally agree.
So yeah.
I don't know what to add there, because I agree. Entertainment first, yay! I mean, I feel entertained by that game, and I think it's so easy to get into it, and to like get like sucked into it. And I can see why other people, I don't know who, but someone wrote in the chat before that he or she or they actually did like a streaming on Twitch for 3 or 4 times for several hours already, and and we're like actually reading with other people, like through the text and stuff like that. And I think that is like the best compliment you can actually get, when people are not only enjoying themselves but also company to actually play a game. That's great.
It gets people to talk, right? That was one of the things that I always wanted to achieve with this, is that we lack a forum to discuss serious ideas, because there's a lot of confrontation and people take it personally.
Mm.
Suzerain provides a middle ground that is fictional, where people can talk about without fighting with each other, because it's like neutral ground. and
Yeah,
uh, and it's a perfect way where you can express something without being directly attacked. And I think that's very important, the dialogue and like going deeper into these topics. Obviously, this is like the deeper art side of what we're trying to achieve. On the front end, obviously, it's a game and it's fun, it's entertainment, it's a story. But there is a deeper thing that we're going for here, which is kind of our studio's thing. Our motto is thought-provoking entertainment, and that's what we want to achieve with our studio, with all the games we make.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Definitely, everything you said was beautiful, to be honest. So
Yeah, it's very hard to add.
So many more questions I would have to talk about this game, and but I think there was a pretty good insight that you delivered to us, and I totally agree on that. It's good to have games that are more delivering in this also in these critical times, more empathy to each other and understand how other people work and think.
Especially in those times, actually.
Yeah.
So,
thank you so much for having me.
don't want to cut you off or something like that. Not going to do that. I never cut people off like this. Only if it's André. Any final words for, the word, the people in the chat, and me, and André? Anything you need to get out before you leave?
The game is available.
The game is available. That is right.
I mean, you don't have to, but like, if you feel like checking something like this out, please.
Where does the community hang out? Do you have a Discord or?
Yeah, we have a very like lively Discord with a lot of memes, which is so awesome. We have a Discord community. You just check SUZERAIN on Steam. On the Steam discussions forum, you can find links to all of our socials. Just when you type SUZERAIN game, we just pop up everywhere on Google.
Yep. You can't get around it, actually.
Yeah. The game is also relatively affordable, $14.99 USD, and in other countries it's way cheaper too. So, yeah, drop a positive review if you like it. I hope it really means something to people. That's how we set out to do it. Thanks for having me. Appreciate the invitation, and thanks for the show.
Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
So I guess that is now the time where I do this with that hand and push, the magic button on the other side.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. André.
2 hours gone already, Astrid.
Right. I always wonder how time can actually pass that fast. It's like, I don't know why, but especially when I play, actually. I mean, I get why time passes so fast when I play. It's the magic of live streams.
Yeah, and the power of entertainment.
Oh. Well, yeah.
Pleasure to have the chat with us. All those people listening to our little talks with developers and playing
That
games.
was super nice. And I mean, I saw that, some people actually just came online, like Lakeside. Hello, Lakeside. You are late because, wait, I have a déjà vu. It wasn't like this, like 2 weeks before Lakeside that you just came when we actually finished? I will have an eye of that. On that. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun with you. It was so good to have the chat with us. So many interesting questions, actually. It was so fun with Wolfgang and also with Atta. I love the game and I would totally go on playing that game. Maybe not right now, but for sure on the weekend or maybe already tonight. I don't know. Let's see. And I'm looking forward to our next show, André, which will be in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. It's the March 4th. March 4th.
Yeah. Oh, March 4th? No, that's a different date. Okay.
That's a different date.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, but you know what? In the meantime, we are going to have so many other shows, actually, Like tomorrow, we are going to have the Early Access show with Juliana and me, talking about Juliana and me. Sorry, but I mean, that's pretty much what it is. Juliana and I talking about ourselves. It's always fun.
I'll be there. Excuse me. Oh. Okay. So
André will be
tomorrow, thanks
there.
to Jana and you, talking about Jana and you.
Yeah, we're talking
Yourself.
about ourselves. Right. And next week we are going to have like a reduced Twitch show plan.
Oh.
If you ask now, why is that? This is because we are going to host our very first devcom Call for Change Summit next week, which is a 2-day summit full of program. Guys, I tell you, it's full of program. It's 2 days program.
It's free.
And it's for free, and it's a very, it's very important topics actually, because the Call for Change Summit is all about diversity, inclusion, and accessibility in video games, or in general in the gaming industry, or in general in people's lives, right? Because it's very hard to break that down to only one industry. And as André said, it is for free. And we have great speakers, we have super cool, great workshops, webinars, etc. planned coming up. You can still go and register yourself there. And since I'm a moderator in the chat, I can actually post a link. Isn't that fun?
Amazing.
Isn't that fun? I will do that right away, where you can get more information. And because of the Call for Change Summit, we have reduced Twitch shows next week. Means we are having an early access show on Monday, and I think a game dev show on Wednesday, but nothing in between. But you know what, you guys, I'm not sure. Just check the Twitch schedule actually, because it's going to be updated for sure. So here is the link for the Call for Change Summit in the chat, and I think that's all, right?
Yeah, and now we need to high five virtually, awkwardly, somehow. Wait.
Okay, no, what?
No, other side. Yeah, you can do it.
Okay.
High five.
Pyong!
Awesome, Astrid. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure to have you. Bye bye, guys.
Bye bye. See you all in 2 weeks, or maybe earlier.
Or maybe earlier.